In the mid-19th century, when the world was obsessed with curiosity, freak shows, and the boundaries of science, a woman was paraded across Europe and America as a living spectacle. Her name was Julia Pastrana, and history branded her as the ugliest woman in the world. Julia was born in 1834 in the mountains of Sinaloa, Mexico. From the very start, she was different. Covered in thick black hair from head to toe with a protruding jaw and unusually large gums, she was immediately seen as an oddity. Today, we know she suffered from hypertrichosis and gingival hyperplasia, rare conditions that gave her an ape-like appearance. But in 19th century Mexico, science was not the first explanation people reached for. Many believed she was cursed. Some whispered that her mother had angered spirits before Julia's birth. Others said she was proof that nature sometimes birthed monsters. As she grew, Julia proved herself intelligent, kind, and musically gifted. She loved to sing, she loved to dance, but society never let her forget her face. To most, she was not Julia. She was a curiosity. In her teens, she was discovered by showmen who saw not a person but profit. By the 1850s, she was traveling across the United States and Europe, exhibited as a freak of nature. Posters called her the bear woman, the ape woman, the nondescript. Crowds lined up to stare at her behind glass, to hear her sing folk songs in her deep, melodic voice, and to marvel at the contradiction. A body they called monstrous, and a spirit that was unmistakably human. Doctors studied her, poking and prodding, writing long reports about her animal features. Newspapers mocked her while praising her talents. She was a paradox to the Victorian world, both entertainer and specimen, both woman and other. Her life took a darker turn when she married her manager, Theodore Lent, a man who saw her only as a ticket to fame and wealth. He paraded her relentlessly, exploiting her uniqueness while pocketing every coin. In 1860, Julia became pregnant. Hope stirred in her. Maybe a child would bring her the love she had long been denied. But fate was cruel. She gave birth to a baby boy who shared her conditions. The child lived only a few days. Julia herself died soon after at just 26 years old from complications of childbirth. For most people, death brings peace. But for Julia Pastrana, death was only the beginning of exploitation. Theodore Lent, refusing to let go of his prize, had Julia and her infant son mummified. Their bodies, embalmed and preserved, became part of his traveling show. Audiences paid not only to see Julia alive, but to see her dead. For more than a century, her remains toured across Europe, exhibited in carnivals and museums. Even in death, Julia could not escape the gaze of strangers. She was denied dignity, denied rest. Only in 2013, more than 150 years after her death, was Julia Pastrana finally returned to Mexico, where she was buried with proper rites in her home state of Sinaloa. Her story is one of the most haunting examples of how society turns suffering into spectacle. Julia was not a monster. She was a woman with a condition, forced to live and die as an object of curiosity. And in her fate lies a chilling question. How many others were silenced, mocked, and paraded because the world chose to see them as less than human? Julia Pastrana's voice, her songs, her laughter, all were drowned out by the roar of the crowd. But today, when we speak her name, perhaps she is finally seen not as the ugliest woman in the world, but as what she truly was, a woman who deserved more than the world ever gave her.